Question 1. Which of the following best describes the purpose of an endorsement in a home insurance policy? A. An endorsement increases the premium for the policy by including additional coverage that was not initially provided. B. An endorsement is a written agreement between the insurer and the policyholder that modifies the terms of the original policy to exclude specific risks. C. An endorsement modifies the terms of the insurance policy to include additional coverage or to change existing coverage. D. An endorsement is a document that outlines the process for filing a claim and does not affect the policy coverage. Answer. C. Explanation. An endorsement is an amendment to the original insurance policy that modifies its terms. This could involve adding new coverage, changing existing coverage, or excluding certain risks. For example, if a homeowner wants to add coverage for a valuable piece of jewelry, they would use an endorsement to adjust their policy. This modification would affect the policy's coverage details, often leading to an adjustment in the premium. This is crucial as it allows the policyholder to tailor their insurance to better meet their specific needs. Question 2. Under an HO3 special form policy, which of the following is covered under personal property coverage? C. A. Personal property damage by earthquake, unless specifically excluded by endorsement. B. Personal property damaged by flooding with no sublimit for high-value items. C. Personal property damaged by accidental discharge of water from a household appliance. D. Personal property that is subject to a higher deductible when damaged by theft. Answer. C. Explanation. Under an HO3 policy, personal property coverage C is generally covered for all perils except those specifically excluded. This includes damage from accidental discharge of water from household appliances, but excludes damage from flooding unless a separate flood endorsement is purchased. Coverage for personal property typically does not have a sublimit for high-value items unless stated in the policy, but the policy may have specific exclusions or conditions for certain types of loss like theft. Question 3. Scenario-based. Mr. Smith's house in Arkansas was severely damaged by a tornado. The damage includes the structure, personal property, and additional living expenses while the house is being repaired. Based on his HO3 policy, which of the following should Mr. Smith expect? A. The insurance company will cover the repair costs for the house structure but will not cover the cost of additional living expenses until the house is fully repaired. B. The insurance company will cover both the structural damage and personal property damage, but will only provide a partial reimbursement for additional living expenses. C. The insurance company will cover the structural damage, personal property damage, and additional living expenses up to the policy limit, but a separate deductible applies to each coverage type. D. The insurance company will cover all damages and additional living expenses without applying any deductibles. Answer. C. Explanation. Under an HO3 policy, Mr. Smith would typically be covered for damage to the dwelling, structure, and personal property resulting from a covered peril like a tornado. Additionally, coverage for loss of use, additional living expenses would also be included. However, each type of coverage, dwelling, personal property, additional living expenses may have its own deductible, which means Mr. Smith would need to pay a deductible for each type of claim. This is in line with the policy's coverage limits and conditions, ensuring comprehensive support for all covered damages while maintaining clarity on the financial responsibilities. Question 4. In an HO5 comprehensive form policy, which of the following is the primary difference in coverage compared to an HO3 policy? A. HO5 policies only cover named perils for both the dwelling and personal property, while HO3 policies cover open perils for the dwelling and named perils for personal property. B. HO5 policies provide open peril coverage for both the dwelling and personal property, whereas HO3 policies provide open peril coverage only for the dwelling and named peril coverage for personal property. C. HO5 policies include higher sublimits for valuable items such as jewelry and art, while HO3 policies provide lower sublimits. D. HO5 policies exclude coverage for accidental discharge of water, while HO3 policies include it as a covered peril. Answer. B. Explanation. The primary difference between a HO5 and a HO3 policy is that HO5 policies offer open peril coverage for both the dwelling and personal property. This means that HO5 policy covers all risks except those specifically excluded, while an HO3 policy covers open perils only for the dwelling and named perils for personal property. The broader coverage in HO5 policies generally provides more comprehensive protection, including coverage for personal property under open perils, which is not the case with HO3 policies. Question 5. Which of the following perils is typically excluded from an HO3 policy unless specifically endorsed? A. Fire damage. B. Windstorm damage. C. Earthquake damage. D. Theft. Answer: see explanation. Earthquake damage is typically excluded from an HO3 policy unless a separate endorsement is purchased. HO3 policies provide coverage for a broad range of perils, but certain risks like earthquakes and floods usually require additional coverage through endorsements. Fire, windstorm, and theft are generally covered under a standard HO3 policy, making it important to review and possibly extend coverage for specific risks such as earthquakes. Question 6. For which of the following scenarios would the personal liability coverage E in a standard HO3 policy typically provide protection? A. Injury caused by Mr. Johnson's dog to a neighbor. B. Damage to Mr. Johnson's own property caused by a fire. C. Medical expenses for Mr. Johnson's family members injured in a car accident. D. Theft of Mr. Johnson's personal property from his home. Answer A. Explanation. Personal liability coverage in an HO3 policy generally protects against liability claims for bodily injury or property damage caused to others. This includes incidents such as injuries caused by Mr. Johnson's dog to a neighbor. However, personal liability coverage does not extend to damage to the insured's own property, medical expenses for family members, or theft of personal property. These would be covered under different policy sections or endorsements. Question 7. If a home insurance policy has a $1,000 deductible for personal property claims and Mr. Brown's personal property was damaged in a covered event resulting in $4,500 worth of damage, what amount will Mr. Brown receive from the insurer? A. $4,500. B. $3,500. C. $5,500. D. $2,000. Answer B. Explanation. With a $1,000 deductible, the amount Mr. Brown will receive from the insurer is calculated by subtracting the deductible from the total damage amount. Therefore, if the total damage is $4,500, the insurer will pay $4,500. $1,000 equals $3,500. Deductibles are subtracted from the claim amount before payment is made, which reduces the insurer's liability. Question 8. Which of the following is true regarding the loss of use coverage D in a typical HO3 policy? A. Coverage D only applies if the home is damaged due to a fire, excluding other perils. B. Coverage D provides reimbursement for additional living expenses if the home is rendered uninhabitable due to a covered peril. C. Coverage D only covers the cost of temporary repairs, but not the cost of additional living expenses. D. Coverage D includes coverage for the replacement of damaged personal property while the home is being repaired. Answer B. Explanation. Coverage D, or loss of use coverage, in a typical HO3 policy reimburses the policyholder for additional living expenses incurred while the home is being repaired or rebuilt after a covered peril makes it uninhabitable. This coverage helps with costs such as temporary housing and increased living expenses, but it does not cover the cost of personal property replacement or temporary repairs. Question 9. What is the primary function of the subrogation principle in home insurance policies? A. To allow the insurer to cancel the policy if a claim is made. B. To ensure the policyholder does not receive more than the actual loss by pursuing recovery from a third party responsible for the damage. C. To provide additional coverage for damages not included in the original policy. D. To increase the deductible amount for claims involving subrogation. Answer B. Explanation. The principle of subrogation allows the insurer to pursue recovery from a third party who is responsible for the damage after paying the claim to the policyholder. This ensures that the policyholder does not receive a financial benefit beyond their actual loss and helps the insurer recover the costs of the claim. It prevents the policyholder from being compensated twice for the same loss and maintains the fairness of the insurance system. Question 10. Scenario-based MS. Lee's house in Arkansas was damaged by a flood. A HO3 policy did not include a flood endorsement. What should MS Lee do to address the damage? A. File a claim with her current insurance company as usual and expect coverage for the flood damage. B. Contact her insurance company to dispute the exclusion and request an exception for the flood damage. C. Seek coverage under her home insurance policy for the damage and expect to pay the full amount out of pocket. D. Purchase a separate flood insurance policy to cover the damage and then file a claim with the new insurer. Answer C. Explanation. If MS Lee's HO3 policy did not include a flood endorsement, flood damage would be excluded from coverage under her current policy. She would need to pay for the damages out of pocket unless she had a separate flood insurance policy. HO3 policies typically exclude flood damage, so purchasing additional flood insurance is essential for comprehensive coverage against such risks. It's important to understand policy exclusions and to seek appropriate coverage for specific risks like flooding. Question 11. In a typical HO3 policy, which of the following types of damage would generally be covered under dwelling coverage? Coverage A. Damage to personal property due to vandalism. B. Damage to the dwelling from a tree falling during a windstorm. C. Damage to a neighbor's property caused by a fire originating from the insured's home. D. Medical expenses for a guest injured on the insured's property. Answer. B. Explanation. Dwelling coverage. Coverage A in a HO3 policy covers damage to the physical structure of the home from covered perils such as windstorm, fire, or falling objects. Damage caused by a tree falling during a windstorm would be covered under this section. Personal property damage and liability for injuries or damages to others would fall under different sections of the policy. Question 12. Which of the following accurately describes the valuation method used for personal property under an HO3 policy if the policyholder has not selected a replacement cost endorsement? A. The policy pays the actual cash value, which is the replacement cost minus depreciation. B. The policy pays the replacement cost, regardless of depreciation. C. The policy covers only the depreciated value of personal property. D. The policy provides coverage equal to the market value of the personal property. Answer A. Explanation. If a policyholder has not selected a replacement cost endorsement, personal property under an HO3 policy is typically covered on an actual cash value basis. This means the insurer will pay the cost to replace the property minus depreciation. Replacement cost endorsements can be added to cover the full cost of replacement without considering depreciation. Question 13. Which of the following statements about coverage for other structures, coverage B, under a HO3 policy is correct? A. Coverage B provides unlimited coverage for structures on the property that are not attached to the dwelling. B. Coverage B covers only those structures that are used for business purposes. C. Coverage B includes structures such as detached garages and fences, but usually has a percentage limit relative to the dwelling coverage. D. Coverage B excludes all structures that are rented to others. Answer. C. Explanation. Coverage B under an HO3 policy includes coverage for other structures on the property that are not attached to the dwelling, such as detached garages, fences, and sheds. This coverage typically has a limit that is a percentage of the dwelling coverage, usually 10%. It does not provide unlimited coverage and does not cover structures rented to others or used for business purposes. Question 14. Which of the following is true about the medical payments to others? Coverage F in an HO3 policy. A. Coverage F includes payments for medical expenses of the insured's family members injured in an accident on the insured's property. B. Coverage F covers medical expenses incurred by guests injured on the insured's property, regardless of fault. C. Coverage F is applicable for injuries sustained by the insured while driving their vehicle. D. Coverage F covers legal defense costs in case of lawsuits related to injuries on the insured's property. Answer. B. Explanation. Medical payments to others. Coverage F in a HO3 policy provides coverage for medical expenses incurred by guests who are injured on the insured's property, regardless of fault. This coverage does not apply to injuries sustained by the insured or their family members, nor does it cover legal defense costs related to lawsuits. Question 15. Mr. Adams notices a leak from a burst pipe that causes significant damage to his living room and personal property. How should Mr. Adams proceed to ensure his claim is processed correctly under his HO3 policy? A. Wait until all repairs are completed before notifying the insurance company. B. Immediately notify the insurance company, document the damage, and start temporary repairs to prevent further damage. C. Repair the damage first and then submit a claim with the repair receipts to the insurance company. D. Only notify the insurance company after assessing the total cost of damage with a contractor. Answer. B. Explanation. Mr. Adams should immediately notify his insurance company about the damage and document the situation thoroughly. It is important to start temporary repairs to prevent further damage, such as stopping the leak while keeping all receipts and records of the repairs. Insurance policies typically require prompt notification and documentation of damage to process claims efficiently. Waiting until repairs are completed or only assessing the total cost later may delay the claims process or result in complications. Question 16. Which of the following risks would typically be excluded from a standard HO3 policy without an additional endorsement? A. Theft of personal property. B. Damage caused by a sudden and accidental discharge of water. C. Damage resulting from a power outage. D. Damage from a fire. Answer. C. Explanation. A standard HO3 policy typically excludes coverage for damage resulting from power outages unless a specific endorsement is added. Risks like theft, damage from sudden and accidental discharge of water, and fire are generally covered under a standard HO3 policy. Power outage damage is considered less predictable and is usually not included without additional coverage. Question 17. Which of the following best describes the term underwriting in the context of home insurance policies? A. The process of issuing a policy without evaluating the risk factors. B. The process of assessing and evaluating the risks associated with insuring a property before issuing a policy. C. The process of adjusting the claim amount based on the policyholder's previous claim history. D. The process of determining the premium based on the age and condition of the property only. Answer: B. Explanation. Underwriting is the process used by insurance companies to assess and evaluate the risks associated with insuring a property before issuing a policy. This involves reviewing factors such as the property's location, condition, and risk exposures to determine appropriate coverage and premiums. It is crucial for accurately pricing and managing insurance policies. Question 18. If a homeowner has an HO3 policy with a $2,000 deductible and their personal property suffers $8,000 in damage from a covered peril, how much will the insurer pay for the claim? A. $8,000. B. $6,000. C. $10,000. D. $2,000. Answer: B. Explanation. With a $2,000 deductible, the insurer will cover the claim amount minus the deductible. Therefore, if the damage to personal property is $8,000, the insurer will pay $8,000. 2,000 equals $8,000. Deductibles are subtracted from the total damage amount to determine the insurer's payout. Question 19. Which of the following types of structures would not typically be covered under coverage B? Other structures in a HO3 policy. A. Detached garage. B. Tool shed. C. Swimming pool. D. Fence. Answer: C. Explanation. Coverage B. Other structures in a HO3 policy generally covers structures such as detached garages, tool sheds, and fences, which are not attached to the main dwelling. However, a swimming pool is typically not covered under this provision, as it may be classified differently and could require separate liability coverage or endorsement. Question 20. What does the principle of utmost good faith require from both the insurer and the insured? A. The insurer must pay claims promptly, while the insured must not file false claims. B. Both parties must provide complete and accurate information and disclose all material facts related to the insurance contract. C. The insured must disclose all past insurance claims, while the insurer must keep the policy information confidential. D. The insurer must offer the lowest possible premium, while the insured must accept all policy terms without negotiation. Answer: B. Explanation. The principle of utmost good faith requires both the insurer and the insured to provide complete and accurate information and disclose all material facts related to the insurance contract. This ensures that both parties enter the contract with a clear understanding of the terms and risks, preventing fraud and misrepresentation. This principle is fundamental to maintaining the integrity and fairness of the insurance process. Question 21. Which of the following scenarios would typically be covered under loss of use coverage D in an HO3 policy? A. A home is damaged by a covered peril and the insured incurs additional living expenses while the home is being repaired. B. A homeowner's personal property is stolen while on vacation and they seek compensation for the loss. C. A neighbor's property is damaged by a fire originating from the insured's home and the insured is held liable for repairs. D. Medical expenses for a guest who is injured while visiting the insured's home. Answer: an explanation. Loss of use coverage D provides coverage for additional living expenses that the insured incurs when their home is uninhabitable due to a covered peril. This includes costs such as temporary housing and additional food expenses. It does not cover personal property loss, liability for damage to others' property, or medical expenses for guests. Question 22. In an HO3 policy, which of the following endorsements would provide coverage for damage caused by earthquakes? A. Flood insurance endorsement. B. Earthquake endorsement. C. Personal property endorsement. D. Water backup endorsement. Answer: B. Explanation. To cover damage caused by earthquakes under HO3 policy, an earthquake endorsement must be added. Standard HO3 policies typically exclude earthquake damage, so this endorsement provides additional coverage specifically for that risk. Flood, water backup, and personal property endorsements do not cover earthquake damage. Question 23. Which of the following statements is true regarding the coverage limits for personal property under an HO3 policy? A. Personal property is covered up to its actual cash value with no specific coverage limits. B. Coverage for personal property is limited by a set percentage of the dwelling coverage with specific sublimits for certain types of property. C. Personal property is covered a replacement cost with no deductible applied. D. The coverage limit for personal property is unlimited if the property is insured for its market value. Answer. B. Explanation. Under a HO3 policy, personal property coverage is typically limited by a percentage of the dwelling coverage with specific sublimits for items such as jewelry, electronics, and collectibles. This means there are coverage caps for different types of personal property. The actual cash value or replacement cost may vary depending on endorsements, but standard coverage is not unlimited. Question 24. What is the primary purpose of a subrogation clause in an insurance policy? A. To limit the insurer's liability for claims paid. B. To allow the insurer to recover costs from a third party who is responsible for the loss after paying the claim. C. To set a cap on the total amount of coverage provided by the policy. D. To exclude certain types of damage from coverage. Answer. B. Explanation. The subrogation clause allows the insurer to recover costs from a third party who is responsible for the loss after paying out the claim to the insured. This ensures that the insurer can recoup some of the expenses from those who are legally liable for the damages. It does not limit the insurer's liability, set coverage caps, or exclude damages. Question 25. Which of the following would not be a valid reason for an insurer to deny a claim under a HO3 policy? A. The damage occurred due to a covered peril but was not reported promptly. B. The property was damaged due to the homeowner's negligence but the peril itself is covered. C. The claim involves personal property that was stolen and the theft occurred after the policy was purchased. D. The damage is caused by an excluded peril such as flooding or earthquake without the appropriate endorsement. Answer A. Explanation. An insurer might deny a claim if it is not reported promptly, especially if the delay impairs the investigation or increases the risk of further damage. However, if the damage is from a covered peril and the delay is not significant, the claim should generally not be denied solely for late reporting. Claims related to excluded perils or negligence typically lead to denial if they fall outside the policy coverage. Question 26. What type of coverage would an insured need to add to an HO3 policy to ensure protection for valuable personal items like art and jewelry? A. Personal property endorsement. B. Valuables endorsement. C. Scheduled personal property endorsement. D. Flood endorsement. Answer. C. Explanation. To ensure protection for valuable items such as art and jewelry, an insured should add a scheduled personal property endorsement. This endorsement allows for higher coverage limits and special protections for specific high-value items. A personal property endorsement may not provide the increased limits needed for valuable items, and a flood endorsement would not cover personal property specifically. Question 27. A homeowner's policy has a $1,000 deductible and $10,000 in dwelling coverage. If a covered peril causes $8,000 in damage to the dwelling, how much will the insurer cover? A. $7,000. B. $8,000. C. $9,000. D. $1,000. Answer A. Explanation. With a $1,000 deductible, the insurer will pay the amount of the claim minus the deductible. Therefore, for $8,000 in damage, the insurer will cover $8,000. $1,000 equals $1,000. Deductibles are subtracted from the total damage amount to determine the insurer's payment. Question 28. Which of the following best describes the term indemnity in the context of home insurance? A. Providing coverage for all possible losses regardless of the cause. B. Paying the cost to repair or replace the damaged property up to the policy limit. C. Offering a financial reward to policyholders for safe home practices. D. Reimbursing the policyholder for the market value of the home at the time of the loss. Answer B. Explanation. Indemnity in home insurance means paying the cost to repair or replace the damaged property up to the policy limit, ensuring that the policyholder is restored to the financial position they were in before the loss. This principle ensures fair compensation but not profit. Question 29. Which of the following is typically excluded under a standard Hothry policy without an additional endorsement? A. Damage caused by vandalism. B. Damage from a tree falling during a windstorm. C. Damage caused by floods. D. Damage from fire. Answer C. Explanation. A standard Hothry policy typically excludes coverage for damage caused by floods. Flood damage usually requires a separate flood insurance policy or endorsement. Vandalism, windstorm damage, and fire are generally covered under a standard Hothry policy. Question 30. What does the term actual cash value receive mean in the context of home insurance claims? A. The full replacement cost of the damaged property without any deductions. B. The market value of the property at the time of loss. C. The replacement cost minus depreciation of the damaged property. D. The amount determined by the insured's policy limit for the specific type of damage. Answer C. Explanation. Actual cash value (ACV) is defined as the replacement cost of the damaged property minus depreciation. It reflects the current value of the property taking into account wear and tear and is typically used when replacement cost coverage is not specified or endorsed.